Hi, welcome back to Write 101 Part 2. I hope you watched the supplementary videos. I think they'll really help with you learning to discern what sources and what research is better for utilizing in your paper. So, now where do you get that research? So, I'm going to take you into the virtual library to the databases. So, if you'll come along. It's the same way we went to course specific resources, but let's do it from the very beginning. Oh my gosh, there's my grocery list. Anyhow, it's www.ccbc.edu. Okay. And campus life again. That's where you'll find everything library. Okay, and I want to remind you that our library is a hybrid library. While we are an academic library first, we are partners with the Beaver County Library System and the law library, especially if you're a criminal justice major. So we exchange all materials when everybody's operational in normal times. So we can bring books from the other libraries to the college, so it's easier for you to pick up, and you can also drop off at the other libraries if you're driving through Beaver or Midland or whatever's convenient for you. We want to make this work for you. I'm not going to touch much on books at all, but I will show you. We're going to go to the Research Tools tab. And under Research Tools, the initial section that comes up is the library catalog. That is the Beaver County Library System catalog also. There are instructions and connections there to getting books. However, again, we are not circulating currently right now in December our physical collection. And hopefully by the time you're listening to this, we'll be back full-fledged. But if we're not, there is still plenty to offer you, way more than enough. So here are the research databases, and these are the credible compilation of information. There's journals, magazines, newspapers, essays, all kinds of things that can support your paper. And we have such a wide variety of databases that there's information for every subject, a wealth of information. I have a handout here that's a step-by-step on how to use the databases. So if you don't remember what I'm saying today, it's a lot of information to take in. You can go back and try the step-by-step when you're using the databases. And there's also a video tutorial that doesn't talk about some of the things I did today, scholarly versus popular, as much, but it takes you through a search of the databases. So when you come to this section where you see EBSCO Hose, Beaver County Times, LexisNexis, if you come down through this area, these are all those databases where I'm telling you you should go to do your research. Now, today we're going to go into EBSCO and do some research, but I did want to point something out. These each have a description. And so depending on what you're doing as your topic, you may want to use some of these other databases. For example, EBSCO is it's an overarching, I always liken it to a mall. It has a lot of stores or small databases beneath it that have thousands of resources for you. And we're going to go in there. But why do we have the Beaver County Times? This offers you local information. Say you're doing something on the opiate epidemic or something with, I don't know, corona response in Beaver County that you wanted to tie local information in, then you would go to the local paper. LexisNexis is very geared toward business, Fortune 500. Also, if you're in criminal justice and you take business law or law course, there are cases that you can search there. Any information on Supreme Court cases. So that's a really good place for that. Literature Resource Center, any of your lit classes this is a really encompassing database to use. Chronicle of Higher Education. This pool of information is if you're writing about college issues, you want to be a professor. Facts.com, I'm going to go into for a second. Facts is a database of hot button topics. So with facts, you're examining a lot of different uh, current event type issues. So when you sign in, if you're at home, you sign in with your full email, your CCBC email, and your Blackboard and email password. If you ever have any problems, you chat with the library. Occasionally you need a reset from IT. Don't panic, we'll take care of you. So when you log in, since I chose Facts on File, this is just an example of, here are all the topics down here that you will find presentations about. So there's just a real wide variety from social media to, global issues, climate change. But up at the top, they usually have, again, the hot button issues. But I'm just going to click on one since coronavirus is the first one. Are quarantines and travel restrictions appropriate responses? So what this does is, the reason I'm showing is it presents a paper, a full paper that gives a balanced look at the subject. So we have the thesis question, or the question for the paper, and you can see this is very recent. And then it has each side. Supporters argue quarantines and travel bans slow the spread, and then the opponents are saying no, they do not. So then what happens is, this is discussed with credible information from both sides of the argument, and you'll see a lot of graphics, especially information pulled from government charts, and it's really what a balanced research paper would look like with that question. So this is a great place for you to go. That was historically looking at pandemics. And then the one thing that I always point out to students, and I'm sorry I'm taking you on the wild ride down here very quickly because there is so much information, is at the very end, there is always a linking bibliography. So you can see where these resources came from and check on what they're using. And some of it's popular, some of it will be more more scholarly, but it's a definitely a good sampling of showing how a paper can be presented, especially with these hot button topics. So I'm going to go back out again and go into the library like we're going in for the first time, and we're going to do campus life, library, and this time when we go to research tools, instead of going to facts.com, or we're going to go into EBSCO, and that's the one that I told you is like the mall with a lot of different databases beneath it. You enter through this top link, and then here you have even more. Again, these are the various stores in this mall of information, which have thousands and thousands of those scholarly and credible and popular credible resources. Now, the first two, I always call them the Walmarts or the general stores. And the reason I do is they're very good, credible information, but they're multidisciplinary. That means that there will be information if you're doing your paper on a piece of literature, um, if it's a popular author, there's probably going to be something in there, August Wilson's The Cycle, or if you're doing something on motocross, racing. So it has such a wide variety. So this is probably our most popular um, database for researching. But I want you to read the descriptions. Oh, I see. Someone's trying to chat here. So um, I will get back to that in one moment. Okay, so make sure you go down and you read through each description. And again, there are specific areas. If you look here, there are newspapers all over the world you could pull information on your subject from. If anybody's going into nursing or any healthcare, right here, these three are where you're going to spend your time. Those are journal articles, primarily the very high end research. Professional development gives you various education and information. Eric also is a good one for various education educational impact reports and journal articles. Green File is more conservation, environmental topics. Also, I always give the example. I had one student, he was a veteran who wanted to be a sustainable farmer. So he was doing his paper for Writ 101 on permaculture. And so I was just so thrilled. A couple years ago, he came back to see me and he had his farm. So that's an area you would search for conservation issues or environmental. Business databases, military and government can be used for various historical pieces, and the ebook collection. I said we're not looking at the books today. We have a nice variety of 37,000 in our collection, plus our partner collections, but the ebook collections change and are updated. And where we can't afford to buy all those hard copy books, this collection may have a subject for you, or I mean a book that will help you with your topic. So anyway, today what I'm going to do is choose a couple databases and show you a sample search. Now, I'm going to go ahead and choose a multidisciplinary. I think my subject, if you wanted to be a drug counselor, maybe this is something you would look into as far as doing some research. And I did want to remind you to, as you choose where you're shopping for your information, do not select all. A lot of people think that's the easy way. Select all, get everything on my topic from all of these databases. And really, that just bogs things down. So you want to be specific and do a couple at a time so you can take in and see what's best for your topic. I think maybe I'm going to do Eric too. Now, normally I do two at a time, but we'll see what we have here. So now we continue to actually do our search. Now, I said that I was thinking of if someone wanted to be a drug counselor or they wanted to do their paper on drug abuse, which is a hot button issue, unfortunately. So this is kind of, I always say this is a bad search. It's a very general search. And if you watched the supplementary video, you'll know that, because when you're doing research, you're always wanting to narrow to find exactly what you need for your paper. So if we do this search of drug abuse, or I think I did substance abuse, and there were like 400,000 hits, you see that we get 189,000 articles, and that's from 4 databases. Imagine if we chose them all. So just going to use this as a kind of a principal search to show you how you narrow, and then we'll do a more specific search. So you want more information about the opiate epidemic, but you started out with drug abuse. So then what you want to do first off is do full text, because some of these are just abstracts or summaries of studies that will be that are have been done, or information that's been published, and you want to be able to look at the full report here. That's why we buy these databases for the college, so you want to look at what we have in full presentation. So you pick full text, and you see we already went down tens of thousands. So the other thing you can do is, it's very important to be timely, depending on your topic. But for most of you, if it's drug abuse, you want to be in the 3 to 5 year range, as you do with healthcare. If you go into nursing, you're going to be in the 3 to 5 year range. Biology, 7 to 10 years. So you can do this slide. You could still use it since it's at the beginning of 2021. Excuse me, you can use the slide. So you can see that took us down quite a bit too. But still, no one here wants to read 13,000 articles. So one thing you can also do is, if we want to get everything popular out of there, which you don't necessarily want to do for this class, but if you did, or at least you want one scholarly resource in those 3 outside sources, you can hit scholarly. And then that's going to eliminate another 5,000 to 6,000 articles just on drug abuse. So that's just showing you, you start out with well over 100,000, and you have it down to 8,000 just with the full text, scholarly, and timeline parameters. But if you're really looking to find your resources, you want to be more specific. So you can go to the advanced search. So when I was talking here in Western Pennsylvania, the opiate epidemic is one of the things we've been very much, even in our own county, affected by. So you could go ahead and you could put opiates or opioids. You'll see the smart searches here that are coming up. What I like to do is, there's a little trick that you can use as a librarian, where this will pull anything that starts with that. In fact, we want to do this because it won't pull opioids. So that'll pull all the opioid information with drug abuse. So we won't be looking at anything except the drug abuse, excuse me, except opiates. So then the other thing you can do is start thinking more about the other parts of you as a drug counselor. What do you want your article to be about? And with people who become addicts, there's often a mental health component. So you could put mental illness, mental health, as, or dual diagnosis. That's something that you could look at too. So the one thing when you do your advanced search, when you go straight there, you have to reassert your parameters. So again, we want to do full text. I'm doing 2015 because right now 2021 hasn't happened yet. Okay, and you can click scholarly, and let's see where we've gone there from what we had in our basic search of 8,000. Okay, so we're down to 521, which still is not you can look through the top ones, but you want to narrow it down more. So you can add some more search elements. You can add one or two. Anxiety is one of the mental health disorders that drug abuse counselors end up not only counseling for addiction, but the anxiety component. So you can add that. Now at this point, we're still in the same search. If we started a new search, we'd put our parameters in again. But here we go. And let's see how, and that's coming down to a much more manageable amount. The other thing you could do is if you wanted to add a population, teens or teenagers or older people, whatever, drug abuse in senior citizens, people who've been prescribed medications and then become addicted. And again, watch your smart search. People have done this before you, so you can utilize what they've done. In addition, think of those synonyms. If you don't hit, definitely change up your searches. Let's see. So we're down to one. So that may not be what we need, but if it is, it's definitely in the time period. We could go in and just look at this study and see if it's something we want to use. Now, if you just see the detailed record, you haven't clicked full text. So you want to make sure you do that because you can find something and then all of a sudden you can't read it. So usually there's a HTML or PDF that you can open to see the actual study or the information. Okay, and this is about anger. So this may not be something I would use, but for argument's sake right now, I would read through it and, you make sure that, it's a study. This has references, and you would read through and see if it's something you would use. If not, you would back out. But if this was, you have some choices. You can download it as a PDF. You can save it to Google Drive. You can print it. Make sure you download it before you print it so you get all the pages. You also can email it to yourself. In your home email or in your CCBC email. So if you have of the 18, there were 4 articles that you want to re-examine later, you can always just shoot yourself emails and you can open them up in full text in your email when it comes time. You can also place things you gather from the various databases in a folder so it'll hold it there for you. And the other thing you can do is there is an auto cite, so you can do the citation for your reference by hitting on this one. I always call it the notebook paper. So if you were in a class, some of our high school academy students, or if you're in a health science, you might be asked to use an APA citation. For the most part, you can scroll down and we're using MLA 8. So you can copy and paste that. Now, again, this is your paper. You have to do your due diligence to make sure it's correct. EBSCO is usually pretty good, though I do see some mistakes, especially if you have studies that come from somewhere else in the world and there's some translation of language. So just keep looking. And if that article is one that we don't want to use, you can go back to the result list and change up what you have. So keep that all in mind. Okay, so mix up those terms just like on the video, and always call if you need help. So the reminders are full text, matching that database, shopping for the information for your subject or topic, deciding if you need something scholarly, and then thinking about the timeline. If you're doing something with coronavirus, you have a year timeline unless you're doing a historical perspective. So, and I will have one more um, video that's outside of CCBC that I'd like you to watch. And if you have any questions, please email me. And then I have a little assessment. This will all be included in your posting, and your professor can give this to you, or on course specific materials where you can get the links to the YouTube videos. This one will be out there so you can watch it again. There'll be a little assessment that if you participate in it, it's very easy, that I'll put your name in for a prize. So thank you very much for listening. And if you need any help at all, I will be welcome the chance to meet you in the CCBC library, again, virtually or physically. Okay, have a great semester.